So I was sitting thinking the other day during lunch, like 10 to 15 minutes, about this whole 100 men versus one gorilla conversation. And I have to say, who gives a I mean, really, are we really wasting this amount of time speculating on something that we're probably never going to see? And then there's people that just completely overthink it. They start asking whether the 100 men are athletic. How big is the gorilla? Is he King Kong size, Peter Jackson style, or is he like as big as the Kong versus Godzilla movie? You see where I'm going with this? We've wasted enough time. Let's move on with our lives. Anyways, all jokes aside, all ranting aside, that's what these intros have become. Let's get straight into today's video. And we are taking a look at more deals that I found out in the wild. I will say there was just a huge backlog of these videos. I know some people may be wondering exactly why it is that we're going back and making another one of these. Well, it's not that I'm going back and making these. They're just kind of sitting there collecting dust, waiting to be uploaded. But it seems like every time that I'm ready to upload one of these, there was like something big happening. There was some big news, and I had to cover that particular subject. However, it's gotten really slow. Like, I don't think Hasbro has really been announcing anything for the Marvel Legends line, and then McFarlane has put some stuff up for pre-orders, but it's stuff that we've already talked about. It's mostly just like it now goes live, but we already had seen a ton of images for the last few months, and so I don't feel like there's a lot of stuff to cover. It's gone a little bit slow, and so I decided, why not? I'll start kind of piecing them together and then releasing them to you guys. Hopefully they're enjoyed, but without wasting any more saliva, any more breath, let's get straight into it. I was able to find this Magneto action figure for $5.99 at my local Ross. It is based, on a very specific source material on that X-Men 97 animated series. However, I guess it kind of makes sense on multiple different levels. If you just want a Magneto in your action figure display, this is a perfect alternative, although it isn't like his prototypical look. He doesn't have his helmet. It's a completely different color palette, but it is accurate to the source material. And as I said, it doesn't necessarily 100% fit into everybody's prototypical vision of him. But I guess this is, it's a good alternative if you don't want to spend a ton of money on a Magneto action figure. Now, I will say this is everything that you would expect from a Magneto action figure, like decent articulation all around, the pinless technology. You do have the single hinge at the mid torso, butterfly joints, double jointed elbows, double jointed knees, good solid ankle action. I will say the butterfly joints, I sometimes question why they even exist. Like, sometimes there's a cut there, but then the arm doesn't necessarily like utilize all the space in that cut, which makes absolutely no sense. Sometimes I feel like Hasbro just cuts away for the butterfly joints just for the sake of saying that they have butterfly joints. So, if you're gonna cut, might as well cut away. I think like the Wolverine action figure runs into some similar situations where you can definitely see the outline of where the butterfly joint is supposed to reach, but then it never really quite gets there because the arm is limited, like it just wasn't designed properly. And I feel like this figure falls into that particular category. But as I said, solid articulation. There's a bicep cut or a swivel. There's a swivel at the boot or the calf. There's a swivel or a cut at the upper thigh. And then you do have one at the mid-torso. Like I said, single jointed hinge at the mid-torso. And overall, like, the articulation is solid. I don't expect anything too crazy because this is a Magneto action figure. We don't need any dynamic poses. He's probably going to just be floating in space on an action figure stand. Like, there's not much to it. I will say I would love to see some custom accessory pieces for a Magneto Marvel Legends action figure, like something that you can have around him, maybe like some crushed up metal or some crushed up cars or something like that. So, maybe that's a future project that Hasbro can do. We have heard some rumblings that potentially Magneto could be like a new deluxe release. So I have really no complaints. And I will say the head sculpt, they've been getting much better when it comes down to the head sculpts for Marvel Legends action figures over the past few years. I love the little wrinkles, the extra little details on the face. It's not something that we used to get. We would get the eyebrows maybe expressing a little bit of emotion, or the eyes maybe squinted a little bit more, and then obviously like a wide open mouth or a closed mouth. But we never got those extra little details, like the little wrinkles, the little lines and creases all over his face. I think that definitely adds way more to it, even though this is an action figure based on an animated series where they didn't have to go above and beyond, but they did it anyway. I genuinely enjoy this figure. I will say the cloth cape here is just it's just so necessary for a figure like this, a wired cloth cape. There have been some rumors that Hasbro is going to start utilizing that. the hard slash soft plastic just doesn't do anything for me. Every time you try to articulate it, or you try to get the figure to kind of hunch over a little bit, the cape is just kind of laying flat on his back and just sticking out too much. It just looks unnatural. It doesn't look right. And hopefully it's something that Hasbro is actively working on, because we have heard rumors, but they're like unconfirmed sources. I do believe that we got, what was it, the Visions Star Wars action figure not too long ago, that Black Series figure that was based on the Visions animated series, which had some wired cloth goods, if I'm not mistaken. I don't own the figure. I've seen like a couple of images here and there floating online. I haven't even seen any of the reviews, but I have heard some great things about Hasbro. So hopefully that's something that they start to slowly integrate. They're falling way behind when it comes down to McFarlane, because they've been utilizing the wired capes. I will say it feels weird, because every time we try to compare the two lines, like either one of them has had some great innovative feature that the other one doesn't. Like McFarlane does wired capes and cloth capes and just cloth goods in general really well, but then Hasbro does the whole pinless thing. They do have the hinge and the ball joint mid articulation and things of that nature. So I don't know. I think it's just a matter of personal perspective. I feel like if they both put the good things together, they could form like a perfect line. So eventually we'll get the wired cloth stuff from Hasbro, but for now I think this is a good solid figure. And like I said, $6, I wasn't going to pass this up. I did pick up two, one to open and then one to keep on card. I'm not a huge X-Men guy. I've tried to stay away from it because it's that rabbit hole that I don't want to go down, even though I am a huge X-Men fan. Back in the day I did have a little X-Men display going, but as time goes by, it's just more and more difficult to keep track of everything. But if you guys are interested in this figure, definitely keep your eye out. And this one is actually one of the more recent action figure pickups. I think I maybe picked him up like 2 weeks ago, so I'm sure that he's still kind of hanging around at all across the states. So keep an eye out for this figure for $6. You cannot leave him behind. Moving on, I did want to take a really quick look at this dude, and I know most of you guys are going to want to rip your chest hairs out and just scream in agony, because yes, it's a Funko Pop, but I couldn't help myself. I actually was able to find this for, I think, like $2.50, $3. I don't even remember exactly how much I paid for this particular Funko Pop, but it just looked cool. It's the Penguin from the DC universe, the Batman villain, as a snowman. I just thought it was really cool. It was really intricate. It's kind of neat and a little bit creative. I think it's supposed to be like festive. I think it's like a holiday edition line or a holiday edition wave. I think they do these like every year. They'll either dress them up or they'll make them like a holiday character. I don't know. I just thought it was really cool. And this doesn't mean that I'm going to start collecting Funko Pops by any stretch of the imagination. It's just really cool fodder. I'm just going to throw it in the background. It's going to hang out like near my desk. And if my kids grab it, the best thing about it is it doesn't have like that little spring like the OG Funko Pops. The head just completely pops off. So there's no spring. If they yank on it, nothing's going to happen. And I absolutely love the detail on this. It's just cool. It's festive. It just gets you in the mood. I know we're definitely like right in the middle of summer. We're entering probably the hottest temperatures we're going to have here in the valley. We're about to hit triple digits very soon. I think we already had a couple of days of triple digits, but I guess we can just kind of like look at this and remember what the really cool weather feels like. But there you guys have it. I'm not going to ramble. I'm not going to get too deep into it because I tend to do that pretty consistently. I just want to showcase a couple of really cool finds. As I said, the Magneto I was able to find at Ross for $5.99, and then the Snowman Penguin was actually, I want to say I picked it up at Hot Topic. They had some sort of deal, and I mixed it in with those little cash vouchers that they give you when you spend a certain amount, and I kind of combined them and was able to get like an absolutely killer deal. I picked up a few like band t-shirts, and then I saw like a couple of ugly Funko Pops. I'm not a Funko Pop collector, but I just had to. It's just one of those things that's going to look cool, next to my action figure display or on my desk. And there you guys have it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Have you guys been finding anything out there in the wild? What figures have you found for really good prices? I actually went today out to a couple of different Rosses, didn't find anything. Is that going to be the future because of the whole tariff situation? Maybe a lot of places hold on to their figures a little bit longer, or is it the slowdown? Is it because not that much product is hitting store shelves? Could that have something to do with it? I'm not 100% sure. Hopefully, Ross starts to kind of, pile up a little bit more. only time will tell. So, as always, if you guys enjoy this type of rambling action figure content, and yes, it most definitely tends to get pretty intense when it comes down to the rambling, but if you guys enjoy it, stay tuned because we do this pretty consistently. And honestly, I just love putting these videos together. I have so much fun. Not always. I mean, sometimes I'm talking about something a little bit pessimistic and it's, comes off as, like hate ranting, but I would say like 95% of the time I am having so much fun recording and putting these together for you guys. So it always just kind of like warms the heart when you guys, hit the like button and just leave a comment, just letting me know your thoughts on the whole situation. Thank you guys for tuning in. Stay safe out there. And as always, make sure to enjoy the hobby. That's the most important part of all this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.